Now, for further analysis of the stories, we have joining us Charles Fakroha, iBrandTV senior analyst. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Let's begin with this top story coming from the national dailies, and this is talking about the aviation forex crisis, and the federal government dismissing threat by foreign airlines to suspend operations in Nigeria, especially looking at Emirates and the other airline.
Yeah.
One would wonder why this effrontery is coming from the federal government, saying that it does not matter, it would not affect the economy if these foreign airlines leave the country.
Well, again, it's on that regard, I will say the minister, of course, the CBN governor, were too harsh on that. Yes, we are a sovereign nation. We don't expect any business entity to threaten us because we also do business in another country. And if there are issues with that country, I don't think our businessmen will be threatening a sovereign nation that time. We are going to do this, we are going to do that. Yes, they have a legitimate right, to ask for the funds they have made. There's nothing, we don't doubt that. But at the same time, the outburst of the minister, the CBN governor, for me is not too good. But again, they have to defend their a sovereign nation, which is Nigeria. We must give kudos to the honorable speaker, Femi Gbajamiabiala. Yes, I think he has shown leadership, he has shown capacity. You can see him, he was involved in the ASU resolution, and we've seen that issue being done. Now is also
it really done?
Well, but at least
but they are back to
school. Then seeing him again in this forex aviation crisis, there is hope.
But you'd recall that when Emirates wanted to, there was a time they were talking about leaving Nigeria. I think that was about September 1st. They planned to leave the country.
That's true.
And then the CBN released funds to repatriate some of their money to them. So I really do not understand where all of this is coming from.
That's what I'm saying. Those airlines were also over reacting, because
they were asking for their funds.
Yeah, but you have said it, they've been able to release some of these funds to them. Nigeria is a responsible country, no matter what is happening.
But you took the shouts and bickerings from them.
Of course,
before the CBN
I agree, because
the
there are challenges which none of us is happy about it. But you can see the CBN authorities now release those funds, and I'm sure there is also plan to continue to release these funds as and when due. Yes, we have challenges with forex. We can't run away from that. But that does not give any foreign business person to begin to threaten Nigeria. That is what I am saying. So you can see the speaker is now intervening, and we are saying that at the end of the day, of course, something positive will come out and the airlines will continue to do business in Nigeria. They are also forgetting something. Nigerians also have our own local airlines. We also want to do business with them. A lot of Nigerians fly to Emirates on a daily basis. So it has to be a bilateral arrangement. Our airlines too can also fly people there and back to Nigeria. So yes, they've waited so much for their fund. I will sympathize with them. But at the same time, the government is doing all they can to ensure that their blocked funds are given to them. We're happy with that. But they should also try to understand some of our challenges, because they've been doing business with us for quite some time, and I'm sure they've made a lot of profit. So they should.
But you don't think this statement by the federal government will discourage them and also other airlines, foreign airlines, from coming into the country?
In a way, I will not agree 100% that it's going to discourage them. They will also understand in diplomacy, if a government has the duty to protect, even if they are dying, they need to say something. You can't just come as a foreign businessman and say, I'm going to leave, as if you are doing us a favor.
But it's not enough to say something. You have to have the substance of that something.
Of course, and as a government, I think they are doing something about it.
All right, let's move on to this Islamic financing, where the Islamic Development Bank has sanctioned $1.8 billion to finance several key projects in the country, and that's according to the Saudi-based bank president, Dr. Mohammed Jasser, saying that this includes $971 million in project financing, $288 million provided by its private sector affiliate, and then $477 million in trade operations by its trade arm, International Islamic Trade Finance Corporation, and $90 million by other Islamic Development Bank group funds and operations.
Yes. Again, we can see how Islamic banking, Islamic finance has entered our country, and it's a very good development, even for people who are non-Muslims, because you look at the principles of Islamic banking, it's all encompassing. You have Islamic capital market, you have Islamic money market, you have Islamic insurance, you have Islamic fund, and the basic principle that is interesting we finance experts is it's an ethical principle of doing business. There's transparency. Islamic banking also forbids you for doing something speculative, unethical. There is justice for all, banking for all. And that's why for any project they are coming to finance, it must be a project that is affecting the wider economy.
All right, before you go on, let's take a breather. We will be back to continue the conversation. Please stay with us. All right, Charles Fakra is still here with us talking about the major stories coming from the business world. So we're talking about this Islamic financing. They are saying that they have completed 35% of these projects. Yes. I'm wondering what these projects are, what criteria they looked at in selecting the project, and looking at the funds that they are still planning to release. What is the assurance that they would be judiciously used? Yes,
and that's why, since it's coming under the basis of Islamic financing, Islamic banking, they would head to the principles of Islamic banking, which I have just stated. Ethical. You can say about the road project, sukuk, you know, and that is, it is tied
they would
to
monitor
that. Yeah, it is tied to that particular project. So we must give kudos to federal government and, of course, some of the ministers involved for looking at that alternative source of financing, because you are sure once that sukuk vehicle is in place, then that project has no choice. The funds will be used judiciously for those projects. But persons will ask, those who are not Muslims or who are not conversant with the Islamic laws, yes, it is banking for all, whether you are a Muslim or whether you are a Christian. So I think it's a very good one. We should continue to make use of those kind of alternative funding, because we need all the available funding to meet our infrastructural gap.
Well, the President Muhammad Buhari has now directed the Minister of Water Resources to lead and coordinate with relevant ministries and state governments to develop a comprehensive plan of action for preventing flood disaster in Nigeria. One would wonder why prevention is coming after the whole disaster is already ravaging the whole country. Isn't this coming late in the day?
Well, let me just start with a quote. They say there are two best times to have planted a tree. The first is 20 years ago, and the next best time is today, now. Yes, one wouldn't say it is late, you know. We've seen the ravaging effect of the flood, and the Commander-in-Chief, General Muhammad Buhari, let me borrow from Punch, I've now seen the need that he has to take charge. You cannot be a leader and you see people suffering this way, no matter what.
So we're talking about prevention when the disaster has happened. How about dealing with the disaster first?
Yes, if you look at that report now, it's saying he has given the 90 days to
and 90 days is leading to the next elections. So apparently it's already dovetailing towards the end of his tenure.
Agreed. But again, it is better for him to do something than do nothing. So he has given a matching order to the Minister of, I think, Water Resources, and of course he's saying the transportation and one other ministry, they should all work together.
Is this doing something, or just to be seen as doing something? Because eventually what you're doing is not going to have any impact and positive effect on the people. What's the point?
Good. That is a very good thing. Now, like you have said, election is just down the corner. The people in the flood ravaged areas are looking at, they have their PVC. So if they believe that, yeah, it's a natural disaster, that the government of Nigeria has not really done anything to reduce their suffering, then of course they have their PVC. Let them go and make that statement.
Will they even be able to vote with all of this crisis?
No, but of course, if we have seen IDPs voting in Northeast, of course, we are sure that disaster victims too, flood victims too, can also vote. Of course, there are IDP camps, and they can deploy their machine there, and of course they can vote. But again, like I always say, it is never late than never. So let us see what the Minister of Water Resources and the other ministry, what are they going to do to alleviate the suffering of the people right now as we speak.
Let's assess this Special Agro-Industrial Processing Zone SAPS program by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, saying that it will tackle food insecurity and also improve export earnings from agriculture, create millions of lucrative agro-industrial jobs and opportunities for its citizens. Are you optimistic about
Very, very optimistic. But again, like you always ask, we must see implementation of some of these policy statements. It's not just to make a we have said here several times that we are not getting enough of our agricultural produce because we are not adding value. So now with this kind of special project, we're going to add value. We're going to see some of the excess of this produce will be exported. Of course, that will earn foreign exchange for the country. It will create jobs for our youth, and we'll see a gradual industrialization of our agricultural sector, because that is the key for us to begin to look at food security. For any nation to feed itself, your agricultural sector must be industrialized. You must deploy improved technology for your agricultural activities for you to get the maximum benefit, and at the same time feed your people and earn some foreign exchange.
And that would also include mechanization.
Of course, mechanization.
All right, that's a good place to leave it. Thank you so much for your time as always. Charles Fakroha, iBrandTV Senior Analyst.
Thank you very much.
All right, have a
great pleasure.
Day. Still to come after the break, the Nigeria Exchange Limited opened the week in the bullish territory. Osher Index and market capitalization both appreciated by 0.15%. We would look at this in details after the break. Please stay with us.